when you have one thing, it started off with legalizing gay marriage, which what I'll say about this is that I understand that it's better to keep the government out of things like marriage because that's a covenant, right? But, me and you are both religious. We understand that. But what I will say is we always defined marriage as a man and a woman in this country. And that's how the Bible defines it. And that's what I believe it is. But we, that was the first part of it where we started. Then it started going downhill towards the trans issue. Then it went to the non-binary issue. And it's just going to keep going. It's going to keep evolving. And as that happens, more and more ridiculous ideas are going to present themselves. And because of the mentality, like I described, with everyone expected to kowtow basically to these people and pander to them, we are going to be expected to accept all of these ideas as legitimate instead of delusion.
It's an interesting point that you brought up. And so I remember hearing a stat that the majority of the United States was against gay marriage before it became legalized in 2014, 2013, somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm religious too, obviously, but I try to think about it from a third person perspective, somebody who doesn't necessarily practice religion or is a different religion, and believes that gay people should be able to get married. I think that we live in America. There's a separation of church and state thing. It's a tough issue. For example, we've done jobs for people that are homosexual, husband and husband. And bro, they've been cool, not the obnoxious stuff. And I believe a large part of the personification of gay people being overly feminine, kind of annoying, is for the most part it's just a label that the world kind of put on them. I don't think the majority of gay people are at least the ones that we've interacted with, clients of ours. So I don't know. I feel like people should be free.
Yeah.
Live and let live to a degree, but not to the point where now we're letting gender reassignment surgery for kids that are 12 years old. There has to be a balance.
I agree. And what I will say is that I'll preface this by saying I think that you're absolutely right in the sense of, giving people freedom, live and let be. Even my conservative groups on campus, when I've been in charge of assigning people to be officers and things like that, we have had LGBT people in our conservative groups. Live and let live to a point. Right. Where I will say that my opinion differs in a sense is that a lot of people use the separation of church and state, right? In actuality, yes, there is a separation of church and state to a degree because it's really the whole point of that was to ensure that America did not make an official religion of the state. There is never really anything in there that says that there is a separation of church and state specifically. It's more just like we don't have an official language in America. Right. So I think that was to protect people's ability to freely practice their religion. However, if you really look at it, and this has really become a topic of debate I've noticed in recent years, there is no doubt that our country was founded on Christian ideals. One nation under God. Right. And people can try to find, there's been letters that they found from some of the founding fathers saying that, it wasn't a Christian basis what they wrote. That may be a fringe case because, like you said, one nation under God. There are so many things in our founding documents that point to that. The morality that we drew inspiration from for the laws that we have in the Bill of Rights and everything all comes from a divine source, which was the Bible. So, to say that these people that are seeking to have gay marriage and things like that should be allowed to just on that basis, I don't necessarily agree with, because I think that if, as a country, if we are, not everybody has to be Christian, right? But if you are going to live under those ideals, it's kind of like if you go to a private school that's a college. You go there and you may not practice the religion that they are teaching, but you are still expected to follow the moral guidelines that they've put in place, which is from their religion. So I think that we should not have strayed away from the idea of making marriage between a man and a woman. I think that we should let people have their unions and things like that. But to call it marriage is where I disagree. And I think, honestly, you make a good point about how people used to be opposed to it. Barack Obama was opposed to it.
Biden was opposed to it.
Yeah, they're both on camera saying this. And Biden or Obama even had this in his book. He said that he opposed same-sex marriage on the basis of his religious beliefs and then completely changed course. And the reason is political gain.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for him.
It did.
How do you feel about that movie? Leave It All Behind, or Leave the World Behind?